Meghan Markle is apparently spiraling as her Hollywood dreams come crashing down, and everyone in the industry essentially turns against her. The Kardashians, the Bezoses, the Sarandoses. No one is really a fan of Harry, and especially Meghan. And this is not a surprise at all. And it's not a surprise that Meghan Markle might be spiraling after every single business venture she has tried has essentially failed. And it comes down to really one simple thing: Meghan Markle just doesn't have it.
The biggest fashion houses Meghan Markle has tried to connect herself to for the past 6 years already have their royal stars locked in, and those spots are not sitting open waiting for her. Chanel already has Charlotte Casiraghi, the granddaughter of Grace Kelly and daughter of Princess Caroline of Monaco. This is someone raised deep inside elite European circles with family ties that go way beyond simple celebrity status. Karl Lagerfeld was reportedly so close to the family that he met Caroline's children early in their lives, and Charlotte's name was even included in his will. That kind of connection carries serious weight in luxury fashion circles. Dior already has Beatrice Borromeo, who married Pierre Casiraghi, Princess Caroline's son.
It has really gone, I think, the way Meghan hoped and envisioned it would. And of course, anybody starting a business, anybody going in a different direction is going to have a moment where you're thinking everything's coming together and it's just not, something falls through. And that is a feeling of frustration. But Meghan's issues are not that. It's not that, let's say, things are failing because of outside factors or that a shipment didn't come in or something like that. It's a result of a series of catastrophically bad business decisions going back.
Beatrice comes from an old Italian aristocratic family with generations of history tied to European culture and influence. That background matters a lot to luxury fashion brands that care about legacy, image, and old money prestige. Other elite fashion houses have similar setups with women like Cleopatra of Liechtenstein, connected to powerful European noble families and long-standing royal networks. This is the point Brittany from Royal News Network focused on during her comments about the Daily Mail Boshoff report. The issue is not just ambition or publicity, it's the system itself. These fashion ambassador roles have been filled for years, sometimes decades, by women with deep aristocratic roots and established relationships inside Europe's luxury world. Meghan is trying to enter a space that already has permanent players in position. Meghan clearly has ambition and drive, nobody questions that. But according to this argument, what she does not have is a natural place inside the existing high fashion structure. These brands are not searching for someone new because the roles are already covered by women whose connections are tied to family history, royal status, and long-term partnerships with the fashion houses themselves. Charlotte Casiraghi may sometimes wear Chanel looks that critics dislike, but her family name alone keeps her firmly connected to the brand. Beatrice Borromeo also has Dior moments that get mixed reactions, yet her place within that world is still secure. That is the bigger issue Meghan reportedly keeps running into.
I would argue a decade now at this point. Bad business decision to marry Prince Harry. I think she should have dated him, dumped him, and then leveraged that relationship and publicity to greater roles rather than actually marrying him, going under the international public spotlight, abusing her time in the royal family, then abusing them after she left the royal family, and jumping from project to project to project with no follow through, no real achievements to speak of, and just an endless series of gripes and victimhood that have really turned the public off.
These luxury houses simply do not need a replacement, and the women already holding those positions are not stepping aside anytime soon. Anna Wintour has long been viewed as one of the biggest power players in fashion, the kind of figure who can open doors with one decision or shut them permanently. Reports have claimed the door closed on Meghan Markle after ongoing industry complaints that she allegedly did not pay for certain clothing pieces or return them. Whether people agree or not, those stories spread fast through elite fashion circles, and insiders never stop talking once a reputation starts forming. The bigger issue, according to Brittany's breakdown, was the strategy behind Meghan's Vogue connections. The smarter move would have been staying friendly with both sides of the Vogue world instead of appearing tied too closely to one camp. Back in 2019, Meghan worked with Edward Enninful on the Forces for Change British Vogue issue, and that collaboration got major attention. But at the same time, maintaining strong ties with Anna Wintour and American Vogue would have kept more doors open inside the fashion industry. Wintour and Enninful were seen as rivals inside the magazine world, But many celebrities, contributors, and fashion insiders moved between both circles without problems. Meghan was even greeted by Wintour at the Balenciaga show, which looked polished and professional on the surface. But according to this analysis, that public interaction did not mean they had a deep, personal connection behind the scenes. The real shift reportedly happened when Meghan became publicly associated more with Enninful's side instead of staying neutral between both editors. Then things became even messier after Enninful later left Vogue, and Meghan reportedly lost that connection too. The result, according to critics, has been years of distance from the core Vogue network. People point to the missing Met Gala invitations over the past 6 years and the continued struggle to land major ambassador roles with luxury brands like Chanel or Dior, where established European royal figures already dominate those positions. Now, the Daily Mail report by Alison Boshoff has pushed fresh attention onto how the Sussex business operation is being run behind the scenes. In response, People magazine published a piece presenting the As Ever brand as being powered by a team of young women working together on the launch.
As Ever obviously not selling out of its Mother's Day collection, which is limited edition. We have some desperate, weird chicken coop video of Meghan Markle going, well, this is the guy, the chocolatier, and look, we're feeding chickens. I'm like, how is that supposed to help you sell chocolate for Mother's Day? The answer is it doesn't. And Meghan needs to, I think, wake up to the fact that she is not a popular figure. And there's nothing really wrong with that in a way. I mean, if she was smart, she could own it and actually leverage it into greater success. But as ever, she is the architect of her own destruction. She is imploding as we speak because she wants something so desperately to be real, which is that this Hollywood thing that she has attempted to cultivate and chase for so long has not turned into the golden goose that she thought it was going to be.
Britney's response to that framing focused less on age or gender and more on experience and industry background. The argument was simple. Young women absolutely can run successful companies, but experience still matters when launching a high-profile brand under global scrutiny. Critics have pointed to reported gaps in areas like food product branding, website management, social media coordination, photography organization, and even maintaining consistent grammar across promotional material. In luxury branding, small mistakes get noticed fast, and online audiences are quick to call out anything that looks rushed or unpolished. One of the biggest problems critics keep pointing out with the As Ever brand is something surprisingly basic. Even the brand name has reportedly appeared inconsistently across Meghan's own social media posts. Sometimes, As Ever is styled with a capital A and lowercase e, while other times both letters are capitalized. For a brand trying to build a polished luxury image, people expect those details to be locked down from day one. Observers say these mistakes are not just random slip-ups. They see them as signs of a bigger operational issue behind the scenes. In most professionally managed consumer brands, every social post, email, and promotional image gets reviewed carefully before the public ever sees it. Large companies often have multiple people checking branding, grammar, formatting, and presentation. When obvious inconsistencies still make it out publicly, critics argue it usually means the review process is either weak or not fully organized. Britney's analysis goes even further, claiming the deeper issue may come from the kind of team Meghan has built around herself. According to that view, successful businesses need experienced staff members who are comfortable pushing back, correcting mistakes, and warning when something is not landing properly with audiences. Every strong brand depends on people willing to say, "This doesn't work," before problems go public. Critics argue Meghan has spent years surrounding herself with people less likely to challenge decisions directly, and they believe the current rollout problems reflect that larger pattern. The Mother's Day chocolate collection became one of the clearest examples drawing attention online. Serena Williams helped promote the chocolates in an unboxing video that some viewers interpreted as playful or slightly awkward in tone. Once the products appeared on camera, social media immediately started debating the presentation. Some commenters claimed the chocolates did not look especially fresh or visually impressive for a luxury product carrying a premium price tag. The packaging also faced criticism from several online commentators who felt the design looked underwhelming compared to other high-end chocolate brands charging similar prices. With boxes reportedly selling between around $58 and $64, audiences expected a more elevated presentation and stronger luxury branding. The limited edition angle also attracted discussion because the products reportedly did not fully sell out despite the exclusivity marketing push.
The interesting thing in the People article is that it talked about, and I highlighted, how when it came to Meghan's business, it said it was pretty much all being run by young women. I was like, yeah, I can see that. I can see it's being run by young women because it's being run badly. And then it's not that young women can't run things well. It's just that experience oftentimes follows success. Not all the time. But if you have a bunch of inexperienced young women running this thing who have never run a business, never run a company, never gotten it off the ground, don't know anything about food products, like the list goes on, don't know about website management, social media strategies, photography, all the issues I've seen, grammar. Like, again, we're still being inconsistent about whether or not we're capitalizing the E and as ever. That should be number one thing you should get right, is how you spell your brand.
The candle collection sparked another wave of attention online. Candles connected to Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet were reportedly listed around $64 each and manufactured in Taiwan. Early product listings included references using royal titles, but observers quickly noticed those title references were quietly removed not long after launch. That sudden adjustment fueled even more conversation because critics linked it back to long-running debates over how royal connections should or should not be used commercially after the Sandringham Agreement. The quick edits became yet another moment that online audiences dissected in real time. The chicken coop video Meghan posted during the Mother's Day chocolate launch created a whole new round of criticism online because many viewers felt the branding message was all over the place. In the video, Meghan appeared feeding chickens on her property, while a chocolatier was also part of the scene to help promote the chocolate collection. The idea may have been meant to feel personal and rustic, but critics immediately questioned how chickens and luxury chocolates were supposed to connect in a clear marketing strategy. According to branding analysts, the issue is not the chickens themselves, it is the audience mismatch. Chicken coop content usually appeals to homesteading fans, farming communities, or people interested in countryside lifestyle content. Luxury Mother's Day chocolates, meanwhile, target a completely different customer base focused on premium gifting, polished presentation, and upscale branding. When both ideas get mixed together in the same campaign, critics argue it weakens the identity of the product instead of strengthening it. For a new consumer brand trying to establish itself, consistency matters a lot. Every product launch usually needs visuals, storytelling, and marketing that fit one clear lane. Analysts say the Sussex content strategy keeps blending very different themes together in ways that confuse audiences instead of building a strong, recognizable brand image. When branding feels scattered, it becomes harder to convert online attention into actual sales. At the same time, People magazine released a feature presenting a much more positive image of Harry and Meghan's business and personal life. The article described the couple as emotionally connected, working closely together, and building a sustainable lifestyle and business operation. It painted a picture of stability, teamwork, and long-term success behind the scenes. But during that same week, the Alison Boshoff reporting in the Daily Mail presented a completely different narrative. That report described alleged tension, strained relationships, professional fallout, and growing struggles inside the Sussex business operation. It also claimed there were ongoing issues maintaining connections with powerful figures who could offer commercial support or protection within elite media and business circles. Because both stories appeared so close together, many readers started comparing them side by side. Online reactions showed that some audiences viewed the People magazine feature as carefully managed public relations, while seeing the Boshoff reporting as closer to the behind-the-scenes reality being whispered about in California media circles. Brittany's overall argument is that public relations can help smooth over problems for a while, but once audiences start spotting repeated inconsistencies, the polished image becomes harder to maintain convincingly. The gap between the different media narratives around Harry and Meghan has now become so wide that audiences are starting to notice the contradictions very clearly. One side presents a polished image of success, stability, and independence, while the other side describes professional fallout, shrinking influence, and growing isolation. According to commentators like Jack Royston from Newsweek, the recent People magazine cover story failed at one of its biggest goals, pulling attention away from King Charles's major state visit and competing with the royal headlines dominating the news cycle. Instead, The state visit completely took over international coverage. The royal events, ceremonies, and official appearances generated far more public attention than the magazine feature. Brittany explained this, using what she called the solar system comparison for the monarchy and media influence. In that analogy, the crown acts like the sun, and royal figures gain cultural attention based on how close they remain to that central source of power and visibility. King Charles, as monarch, sits closest to the centre. Queen Camilla remains near him, while Prince William and Princess Catherine hold another major position close to the core of royal attention. The younger royal children are still part of that inner orbit because of their future roles inside the monarchy.
If you are smart, you kind of play both people. Not in a bad way, but like going, well, we're going to do this issue here, but let's keep chatting. Let's be positive. And again, Anna did greet Meghan at the Balenciaga show, but that's all part of the artifice of the entertainment industry. None of it's real. None of it's serious. They were just kind of chit-chatting with each other, and they were being like, I don't know exactly how you want to put it, but it wasn't really all that truthful, you could say. They're just there to make things look good, right? So Meghan pledged her allegiance to Ennifull, ticked off Anna. Anna hates her. Meghan doesn't want to pay and never returns things. I think that's pretty key. I think Meghan is all about the freebies. She's always been about the freebies. Again, she was quite mad that the royal family made her send back.
Harry and Meghan, meanwhile, are described as being much farther away from that centre after stepping back from royal duties. Brittany argued that this distance naturally affects how much public focus and institutional support they can command over time. Under this framework, a People magazine feature simply could not compete with a major royal state visit involving the monarch himself. The public attention economy heavily favours the official royal institution because that is still where the largest symbolic power sits. According to this analysis, celebrity-style media campaigns lose impact when placed against events tied directly to the crown. The People article also strongly defended Harry and Meghan's choice to create a half-in, half-out arrangement after leaving royal duties. The piece framed the couple as independent figures making their own path and refusing to follow traditional expectations, but Brittany's response focused on the long-term results of that strategy, rather than the branding language surrounding it. 6 years later, critics argue the expected commercial breakthroughs have not fully materialized. Major fashion houses already have established royal ambassadors. Important Hollywood relationships reportedly cooled over time. Even the Netflix partnership has faced non-stop public speculation regarding its scale, future, and overall success. According to this argument, the problem is that the Sussexes stepped away from the institutional system, while also struggling to fully secure a stable place inside the commercial power structure they hoped to build independently. Brittany's view is that the royal institution and elite commercial networks often operate through relationships, tradition, and long-term alliances. By separating from both systems at once, Harry and Meghan may have gained freedom in some areas, but also lost access to the networks that once strengthened their influence and market value. Critics say the result has looked less like total independence and more like increasing separation from the centres of power they once benefited from. The discussion then expanded beyond the Sussex brand itself and into Harry's reported legal dispute connected to Centrebale. Dr. Sophie Chandauka is now reportedly pursuing legal action involving the organisation through the London High Court. Brittany argues this situation reflects a broader pattern tied to how Harry's departure from major institutional relationships has been handled over the years, with tensions becoming increasingly public instead of staying behind closed doors. Public fallouts with major organisations can create long-lasting damage, not just for the people leaving, but also for the organisations themselves. Brittany pointed to the Centrebale situation as an example, arguing that highly public disputes can make sponsors and donors nervous about getting involved. According to reports surrounding the controversy, some potential backers may now question whether the organisation handles internal conflict professionally, and that uncertainty can affect future fundraising and partnerships. The same pattern has reportedly appeared in other business relationships connected to Harry and Meghan. One example often discussed online involves Audi, where reports claimed a sponsorship relationship ended after financial disagreements tied to appearance expectations and branding arrangements. Whether every detail is accurate or not, the larger issue critics focus on is perception.
I don't think the exit of Harry was dealt with well by Dr. Sophie and Centrebale, and I think it scared off any potential donors because they're looking at the whole mess going, that just doesn't look good. And people can argue with that, and people have loved the confrontation on social media. But guys, social media confrontations are not real life and don't play out that way. Part of the reason I think Sentabale is suing Harry is because things didn't work out the way they thought it would when they got rid of him.
In business, companies and sponsors constantly evaluate whether partnerships will bring stability, professionalism, and positive publicity, or non-stop controversy and unpredictability. Brittany's larger point is that how someone exits an institution matters just as much as how they entered it. Even when a departure is difficult or unwanted, maintaining professionalism can protect future opportunities down the line. Industries built on relationships tend to reward people who leave without destroying connections publicly. According to this argument, burning bridges may create dramatic headlines in the moment, but it can quietly close doors years later behind the scenes. Critics say this pattern also applies to Harry and Meghan's split from the royal institution itself. Their departure from royal duties in 2020 quickly became surrounded by public interviews, documentaries, and memoirs that openly criticized parts of the family dynamic. The Oprah interview sparked global headlines. The Netflix docuseries added more personal revelations. Harry's memoir, Spare, continued exposing painful details and private tensions inside the royal family. Each project generated huge attention and commercial success, but critics argue they also deepened the divide between the Sussexes and the monarchy. Over time, some royal commentators believe the repeated public disclosures damaged trust beyond repair. Now, recent comments from Harry at the Kyiv Security Forum, where he reportedly said he will always remain part of the royal family and is continuing the work he was born to do, are being interpreted by some observers as an effort to reconnect with that identity and legacy. But according to Brittany's analysis, the institutional response from the monarchy suggests the relationship remains badly strained. Critics point to reported tensions surrounding invitations, ceremonial appearances, state occasions, and the visible distance between the Sussexes and senior royals during major events. In this view, the separation became so public and emotionally charged that rebuilding those relationships inside the institution may now be extremely difficult. To explain the larger professional lesson, Brittany compared the situation to long-lasting careers in Hollywood. She used actor David Boreanaz as an example of someone who may not dominate celebrity headlines every year, but has maintained steady work for decades. From Buffy the Vampire Slayer to Angel, then Bones, and later SEAL Team, his career has stretched across more than 20 years of continuous television success. According to this argument, the reason certain entertainers stay employed for decades is not only talent, it is reliability, professionalism, and a reputation for being easy to work with. In industries built heavily on relationships and trust, those qualities often matter just as much as fame itself. Brittany's comparison continued with the idea that long careers in entertainment are usually built on more than just raw talent. She pointed to actors like David Boreanaz, who reportedly built a reputation for showing up on time, staying professional on set, and being easy for studios to work with over many years. In Hollywood, that kind of reliability can quietly become one of the most valuable qualities a person has. The opposite example often discussed in the industry involves talented performers whose personal or professional struggles repeatedly disrupted projects and damaged working relationships. Brittany referenced figures like Shia LaBeouf and Lindsay Lohan as examples of stars whose abilities were widely recognized, but whose reported off-screen controversies and reliability issues made studios more cautious over time. The larger point was that talent alone usually is not enough to sustain a decades-long career in entertainment.
So Meghan, of course, attempted to insert herself into a high fashion narrative at the Balenciaga show. Obviously, the designer let it slip. Or again, I feel like there's a lot of, like we saw with Serena Williams, a lot of backhanded compliments or backhandedness towards Meghan. And he's like, well, she invited herself. So I said, sure. And so for a self-confessed fashionista like Meghan, becoming an ambassador for Chanel, Dior, or another major fashion house would be a dream come true and a wonderful stream of revenue, which she won't get. Because guess what? Chanel, their royal fashion ambassador, is Grace Kelly's granddaughter, Charlotte Katsaragi. Her mother was incredibly close to Karl Lagerfeld and was actually mentioned in his will. And Karl was apparently one of the first people to meet Caroline's children, Princess Caroline of Monaco.
According to this argument, the industry rewards people who combine skill with professionalism, consistency, and stable working relationships. Brittany claimed Harry and Meghan face challenges on both fronts because critics question not only the strength of their entertainment output, but also the stability of their professional relationships behind the scenes. Reports about high staff turnover, public disagreements with business partners, and negative stories from former employees have all contributed to a growing perception problem around the Sussex brand. Brittany argues Hollywood pays close attention to patterns like that. Studios, investors, and executives often look for low-risk partnerships, especially when major money and reputation are involved. According to this analysis, repeated headlines about conflict or instability can slowly reduce opportunities, even if public attention remains high. Another major point came from the recent People magazine description of as ever being in test and learn mode more than a year into its launch. In business language, test and learn usually refers to a company still experimenting with products, branding, pricing, and audience response while trying to figure out what works best in the market. That approach makes sense early on for a startup still finding its identity. But critics argue that after more than a year, multiple product drops, and heavy publicity, continuing to use test and learn language raises questions about whether the brand has fully found its audience or achieved stable momentum. According to Brittany's interpretation, the phrase now sounds less like innovation and more like a way to maintain optimism publicly, while the company continues searching for stronger commercial traction. The latest reported strategy involving Meghan's fashion choices has also sparked conversation online. Reports suggest the Sussex website may eventually direct visitors toward clothing brands Meghan wears during public appearances, with possible commission-based earnings tied to purchases. Affiliate-style fashion partnerships are common in influencer marketing, but critics argue this idea signals an ongoing search for reliable revenue streams tied directly to Meghan's public image and visibility. According to Brittany's analysis, the growing push toward new business ideas suggests concern that the current as-ever brand may not be generating enough revenue to support the Sussex household's extremely expensive lifestyle. Critics following the finances closely have spent months breaking down the estimated costs tied to security, property upkeep, staffing, legal battles, and overall day-to-day operations connected to Harry and Meghan's California life. One widely discussed financial breakdown from commentary channels estimated the couple's annual security expenses at around $3 million, while cumulative legal costs have reportedly climbed into the tens of millions over the past several years. On top of that, their Montecito property reportedly carries mortgage-related expenses near six figures monthly, alongside property taxes estimated in the hundreds of thousands annually. Add staffing, maintenance, travel, and business operations into the mix, and observers say the total yearly cost of maintaining the Sussex lifestyle becomes enormous very quickly. Some commentators estimate the household may need several $1 million annually just to maintain its current structure before taxes and additional investments are even considered. Critics argue the challenge now comes from the changing revenue picture. The Spotify partnership ended, reports suggest some corporate roles and speaking opportunities have slowed, and the as-ever business is still viewed by analysts as being in an early growth stage, rather than operating as a fully mature high-profit brand. According to this line of analysis, reserve savings and previous large deals can only carry a household for so long if incoming revenue consistently falls below outgoing costs. Some financial commentators claim the Sussexes are now in a period where new revenue streams are becoming increasingly necessary to preserve long-term financial stability and maintain their current public image.
That really, truly, at the end of the day, the crown is the sun. It's not whoever the monarch is. It's the crown. And it's the proximity to the crown that reflects your importance and how bright you are. There's some exceptions, obviously. But if you have the crown in this scenario, Charles and Camilla are Mercury, or you could say Charles is Mercury. Then you have next one out is Camilla as Venus, Catherine and William, or William is the Earth. The moon order being around him is Catherine. I mean, you could argue, again, not a perfect scenario, but the further back you get, and if we're taking the analogy seriously, and we're adding every single person, so it goes Charles, then Camilla, then William, then Catherine, then George, then Charlotte, then Louis, then Harry and Meghan. They're out in the outer solar system there. They're a gas giant.
That is why comparisons to Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson have started appearing more often in royal commentary circles. Brittany and others argue the situations share a broader structural similarity. maintaining a very high-profile lifestyle after stepping away from the strongest forms of institutional financial support. Sarah Ferguson, in particular, has faced years of public financial scrutiny, business struggles, and reliance on outside partnerships to sustain her lifestyle after separating from the core royal structure. Critics believe Harry and Meghan may now be entering a similar cycle. The theory goes like this. Once institutional support weakens, the search for replacement income intensifies. That pressure can lead to commercial partnerships or branding decisions that create backlash, weaken credibility, or fail to meet expectations. Then, as public confidence declines, the brand itself becomes harder to monetize successfully, creating even more pressure to find the next opportunity. Britney's overall point is that this cycle can become difficult to escape once reputation problems, financial pressure, and unstable business performance all start feeding into each other at the same time. The biggest issue critics now point to is that Harry and Meghan have spent 6 years trying to operate in a half-in, half-out position. Yet many commentators believe the result looks increasingly similar to the long-term struggles seen with Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson. According to this analysis, that outcome raises serious questions about whether the original strategy was ever truly sustainable over the long run. Britney's final argument is that the options still available to the Sussex household are becoming much narrower, not impossible, but far more limited than before. The biggest change would require serious discipline and a completely different approach to branding and business. Instead of jumping between television projects, podcasts, documentaries, lifestyle products, candles, fashion partnerships, food launches, and endless media appearances all at once, critics argue they would need to focus deeply on one clear lane and build it carefully over several years. Another major point raised is public image. Britney argues the constant effort to fight negative perception head-on has not worked and may actually be making things worse over time. Instead, critics suggest Meghan could lean into a more defined public identity and turn that into a stronger commercial position instead of trying to win over every audience at once. Commentators like Celia Walden have also argued that stepping away from the ongoing grievance-focused narrative could dramatically improve public perception and reduce the fatigue many viewers now feel surrounding the Sussex media cycle. At the operational level, Britney believes one of the biggest problems has been staffing and leadership structure behind the scenes. Successful companies usually depend on experienced professionals who are empowered to challenge bad ideas, tighten weak strategy, and prevent public mistakes before they happen. Critics argue too many experienced staff members have reportedly left the Sussex operation over the years, creating instability and weakening the organization's ability to course-correct effectively. None of these changes are impossible, but according to this analysis, they would require acknowledging that many of the decisions made over the past 6 years helped create the current situation. Critics say continuing the same patterns while expecting a different outcome only increases the pressure as financial demands, public scrutiny, and business challenges continue building at the same time. Right now, observers believe the pattern is still continuing, the pressure is still rising, and the public is starting to form its own conclusions very clearly. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share this with anyone following the royal drama. And drop your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think Harry and Meghan can still turn things around, or has the damage already gone too far?